Welcome back. Those of you who have not watched this channel or don't know this channel, my name is Darson Grantham. On this show, we're going to do a daily vlog, and as I go throughout my day and talk to clients and work in the office and go look at houses, I'm going to share with you the steps that I think that anyone can take to buy a rental property and get into the rental game, knowing that you are not going to quit your job by starting in real estate, rental business, long-term rental, short-term rental, but you're going to take that next step and you're going to get the bug. Before I get into what you need to do to buy a rental property, I think a lot of people need to figure out why you would want to. And I'll just go from personal experience and working with a lot of investors, dozens of investors I've helped buy their first rental. And the biggest reason is you want to diversify your savings and your ability to make money. Me personally, I got fired from 2 W-2 jobs. And after the first one, I started buying rental properties because I wanted a second source of income. I never wanted to trust one person to make sure I was getting paid. I've always had an entrepreneurial heart. I've always done something on the side besides my W-2, so it wasn't that big of a stretch, to be completely candid. And I'm very hands-on. I want to try everything. My wife will tell you I'll try anything about 80% of the way, and then the last 20%, I'm terrible at follow through, which is actually why I hired a couple assistants in my real estate business really fast, and a lot of people kind of looked weird at me because of that, but it's worked for me, and I'll continue to do it. Hire good people, and it makes it a lot easier to do the things you're good at. So there's a couple different reasons. I'll give you two that I've noticed. Is one, people want to get out of their day job. They really hate their day job. They think that buying rental real estate, you can leave your day job, because a lot of people have done it in the last 10 years. Now I want to be a little hesitant on this one, because you can, but you have to do a lot of work in order to stop or to replace your W-2 income with rental real estate. Now, if you're flipping, a little bit different, still have to do a ton of work, but it's not continually W-2 income passive, as they call it. The second type of person is someone that they have a really diverse stock portfolio, and they want the tax advantages and just a different asset class in real estate, and they want to do a little bit of work. If you want to do zero work, but you want to be in the real estate asset class, maybe go buy a REIT. This is not investment advice, but go buy a REIT, do something like that. But if you kind of want to be in the real estate game, you either want to tell your friends that you own real estate, or you really think that you have a skill set that fits well with whatever type of real estate you're looking to invest into, then go buy rental real estate and own it personally or partner with someone. Because that's a really good way to get into the game. It's a really good way to diversify your asset class. I think there's an argument for the retirees right now that are retiring and they're pulling all their money and putting it into cash because the market is down and they can't afford a major crash. I empathize with them. My parents are in that boat. They have an advisor, good dude, but nobody really knows, and they live on basically a fixed income. If the market crashed, they'd be stuck because they've retired, right? Now I think there's an argument with a way to set up that portfolio, so if it did crash, it wouldn't be all of it, blah blah blah. Anyway, go back to my reasoning. A retiree could buy a $1 million apartment complex with $250,000 as a down payment and put it on a 15-year note, right? And quite frankly, that apartment complex should bring in, I don't know, say between $5,000 and $6,000 a month, right? Of net revenue, not counting your mortgage. Well, if you put it on a 15-year note and you don't pull any money out of it, your $250,000 turns into $1 million in 10 years, or in 15 years. It's on a 15-year note. Well, in 15 years, are you going to be dead when you retire at 65? You do this at 65, are you going to be dead in 15 years? No. Well, hopefully not. You're 80 years old. And so at 80 years old, if you had $1 million to begin with and you only pulled out $250,000 to invest in this apartment complex, to me, that feels like a very good hedge for $250,000. Now, next question, what if the real estate market crashes? You bought the apartment complex for $1 million, you put $250,000 into it, crashes next year, and you the apartment's now worth $500,000. Well, the price of the apartment is irrelevant. We're just buying the return. We want to make sure it's still buying a $5,000 to $6,000 net proceeds. And if it's even at, if it market crashes, our rental rate's going to crash 50% also. I find that hard to believe. So essentially, that's, a really good option for a retiree. Well, let's back that up. Say this isn't a retiree. Say this is just a high-paid W-2 worker that's 40 years old that has $250,000 to invest in rental real estate. They buy the $1 million apartment complex at age 40. At age 55, apartment's paid off, and they're receiving residual income of, around $5,000 to $6,000, $7,000, $8,000 a month. That seems like a really good trade-off of $250,000 over 15 years. Low risk, as long as you're buying in the market you like and in a property you like, you've done all your research. That's the two types of people that are investing, and then kind of the quasi mix in between the folks that want to buy 1 or 2 rentals every year, and instead of buying just one big apartment complex. And I respect that's where I'm at. So me personally, my why to investing in real estate was I felt that there was an arbitrage that I could make buying good deals. I felt like if I studied enough, if I analyzed enough, if I talked to and networked enough with people, I could find deals that were not on the open market, and I could earn that business. And when I set out to do it, it took me 8-9 months to study and find my first deal. My first deal was bought off Craigslist with no realtors involved. Lady that lived in Israel, and her daughter managed the property from New York City. The property was 2 hours away from where I live, and it had $28,000 of back taxes owed, and it appraised for $30,000 lower than what the asking price was. That's a whole different story. But when I found that property, in my head, I didn't have anything to lose by putting an offer in on that property, because it was my work, it was my education. I was using an attorney to write the contract, I was having emails back and forth, I had a down payment for 25% for a rental property. The property brought in $3,300 a month of rent, and I was buying it for $140,000. So to me, it was hard to lose on that deal, and that was small town Iowa. Quite frankly, even small town, I don't see those deals happen that often. So anyway, my point in that is that was my why. My why was, I think that I can arbitrage this. I think that I can take the next step, and I can make money in real estate in a second income, a second way to diversify. So that's what I did. So that kind of wraps up the why of everything. Next, I'll get into the how do you pull the trigger on your first deal, and what does it take in both terms of resources, in money, in education. What's the most that I've seen it take, and what's the least that I've seen it take? And I'll share that with you next. So the question is, how do you invest in that first property? Your first thing that my recommendation is always going to be is go get a pre-approval. Go figure out your finances. Figure out where you're at on on pre-approval. Can you get 100,000? Can you get 400,000? What are you willing to make for a down payment? And then what loan options are out there? All those things are needed for you to try to finance a property and figure out the return. Because depending on how good your return is, or excuse me, depending on how your finances are, will depend on how good the return on investment is. And the return on your investment is going to play a lot on what type of property you buy and what you're wanting to get out of an investment. So when you know those things, you can really start shopping. So step one, go get pre-approved of some capacity. Start talking to bankers, start talking to a real estate agent to help you figure out what banks you should talk to based on kind of what you're looking for in a product. So some of you are probably asking and thinking, like, what's on the agenda today? So a couple things on my agenda are, last night we had a listing that got got offers, and we took the highest and best. We took our favorite offer. There's multiple offers, and so I've got to write up the counter, the acceptance of the offer that we're choosing, and send it over to the realtor, send it over to the sellers to sign, then send it over to the realtor. So that's one thing to do today. Two things: I walked the property last week. The second thing, I need to go run comparables on a property that one of my clients flipped and give them an idea of what we think we can resell it for. I walked it last week. I've got a pretty good idea, but I want to get it out in actual visual terms of what I think they're going to be able to sell it for. We'll list that here in the next couple weeks once it gets staged. Once it's staged, go time, we'll do a video walkthrough. Everything will be, we'll send out all the marketing. And then this afternoon, we have the professional vloggers coming in, and he's gonna do a couple of videos on different things we have going on in the business. And I'm going to take 2 lead calls and 1 interview with a vendor, construction vendor that we recommend. I try to do interviews with the vendors that I recommend just so people can see and interact and hear that vendor on our website before I recommend them if they so choose. Because just sending a list of vendors is kind of overwhelming for clients to look at and try to pick which one do I want. I think it'll be good to watch a video on each vendor to give them an idea, the clients an idea of, I'm having this done, what vendor do I think best fits my kind of box. So that is what I'm doing this afternoon. So I didn't record the call, but I just took a call from the agent that lost the deal, meaning I was representing the sellers, and there's 2 people that submitted offers. My clients, the sellers, chose one offer. I had to give the other agent a call, talk with him, and the offers were so close. I mean, there wasn't a significant difference between the 2. One was a little bit more money, had a little, I mean, one waived, the other one waived the inspection. My sellers chose the offer that waived the inspection. They felt better about that, offer, even though it was a little bit less money. Now, time will tell. Was that the right decision? Don't really know. I never feel really good about a transaction until we get through the inspection period, because that inspection period is really the second place to negotiate for buyers and sellers. Knowing that we have another buyer that's kind of waiting in the wings that didn't get the first offer, it's very possible that we're able to, if this first deal falls through, we're able to go back to the other offer and ask them if they're still willing to buy it at that price. But we never know. So that agent specifically was trying to get me to give them information about the other offer and why they lost it. But I don't have to do that as a listing agent. Quite frankly, it is nothing. It's not in my benefit or my client's benefit to share any of that information. Now we're just getting the documents prepped for the accepted offer, and we're going to start the inspection contingency period, accept the earnest deposit, and try to get through that inspection period. Actually, this one doesn't have an inspection period. We'll just move right on into the FHA appraisal process. So I think next steps in buying a rental property is just finding that rental property. So you've already got financing, you know what you're buying, you know the financing in order to run the analysis on the property, right? Now, if you don't know how to run an analysis, this would be a step where you should have, or you could have, and can start running analysis right now and narrow down what types of properties you're looking for. Are you looking for single family, 3-bed, 2-bath? Are you looking for duplexes, triplexes, 4plexes, 10plexes, whatever? You need to find those properties, and you need to run analysis on them. You need to learn the market just as good or better than the realtor that you're using to purchase a property. And I say that kind of tongue-in-cheek because a good realtor doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't find you properties. A good realtor is going to make sure that you don't overpay and you put a good offer in that's likely going to get accepted. They help you negotiate, and they get you to the closing table, and they protect your ass along the way, right? So that is my kind of rant about what a good realtor is going to do for you. But you need to be able to run analysis. Do not rely on your realtor to run analysis for you. I made the mistake when I first started as an agent. I would help people run analyses. And quite frankly, I don't know the assumptions that you want to make that make you sleep well at night. I'm going to make different assumptions than you're going to make. So you need to run your own analysis. Run your analysis, send it to your realtor, and your realtor will give you a perspective of, okay, is this really conservative or is it not? If your realtor can't do that, use a different realtor. Long story short, start analyzing properties and start talking to your realtor to get ready to prep an offer. My recommendation is always start and make an offer on something that's way too low so that you can see the process in the documentation. You have the correct DocuSign stuff, everything is set up. The realtor knows what your loan is, what LLCs you're making the offer under, or are you making it under your name. All of that needs to be kind of hashed out and vetted at this point in the process. I'll be there. I made the mistake of sticking my head in the room before the meeting starts, and they wanted me to come in early. We still got 4 minutes. Just finished up team meeting, now jumping on a lead call. And I would expect Sebastian, the professional vlogger, is going to be here, so you're going to see him walk in also. Next up on the list, we're going to take him and we're going to shoot a kind of storyline about what networking's done for my business. In the meantime, we're going to go check out a new location for the Tuesday monthly meeting. There's the professional guy. Look at that thing. Look at that thing. It's huge. Just finished up checking out a new space for our monthly meetup, and I just think it's too small. I think I'm going to buck up and just pay the fee and go to the trendy, nice, new, big, not new, well, it's sort of new, big place. It's called the Tap Room downtown. They said they give us a good discount if we schedule on Tuesday nights, because apparently no one wants to have events on Tuesday nights.
Well, Tuesday nights then.
Yeah, Tuesday night's where it's at, man. So at this point, you have put an offer in. Now, knowing what offer to put in, you should use your real estate agent. How to make an effective offer, you should have used your real estate agent. You can look at comparables. You're fine. You can look at what the return for that investment property is and make your offer based on that. There's honestly just a lot of ways to do that, whether you really like the property or you are trying to get a deal or whatever, right? So at this point, you made the offer and offer got accepted. Next on the list would be inspection. Buying a rental property, you go through the inspection process because you probably had an inspection addendum. I don't need his glasses, they're computer glasses. And you go through the inspection, you find XYZ needs fixed. You and the seller negotiate and decide who fixes what on the property, whether it needs fixed or not. And that's, again, kind of the second negotiation. Next up is lending. Lender takes the loan file and they underwrite you, underwrite the property, underwrite rents if it is a rental, and they give you the clear to close. That is a pretty simple process. If there are things that come up, like title opinion on the property, appraisal issues, underwriting on your income, those are things that come up during the process. And throughout, between offer accepted and closing, all those things are taken care of. And you might have a lot of emails, a lot of back and forth. Like one right now, I had a client who bought a piece of land that was parceled off of another piece of land, and the driveway was put in, but it was permitted, but it was never recorded on the deed that the driveway was put in. Excuse me, on the deed, on the abstract that the driveway was put in. So what we have is a driveway that's there that doesn't show on the abstract, which seems weird, but when you're dealing with country property, that's what you get. And the underwriters are looking at an abstract and they're trying to loan on a property that has no driveway, because everything they can pull, there is no driveway. Well, the county and the state, DOT, there was a permit pulled, it just never was recorded on the abstract. Little things like that. They come up. Some are really smooth. Sometimes you have a hailstorm 3 days before closing, like we did last week, or 2 months ago in West Des Moines. Super pain in the butt. We figured it out, we worked through it. It's part of a real estate transaction. Now, depending on what agent you hire and what transaction settlement company you hire, you might have to do a lot of work or no work with stuff like that. You might get asked questions, you might get told what to do. All depends on who you hire. So in conclusion, wrapping up this, how to buy a rental property, steps you need to think about buying a rental property. My biggest recommendation is get people in your corner that support you. Find a realtor, find a coworker, find someone else that's done it that encourages you. Today, wrapping up my day, it's my 3-year-old, well, he's turning 3 today. His name is Danger, and it is his birthday, so I need to get home and take I need to get home, So what that means is I need to get home because family's coming over and we're gonna celebrate Danger's birthday, Danger Roy, September 20th. 3-year-old birthday, Danger Roy. Anyway, wrapping this up, if you are buying a rental property, I'd encourage you, do it. Don't wait, don't hesitate, don't overanalyze. Look for the base hit, don't look for the home run. If you look for the base hit, you're gonna get a deal done and you're gonna learn a lot. What you do like, what you don't like. If you go for the home run, you'll always wonder, what if I would have just invested the first time I analyze something instead of, oh, let's overanalyze this. Let's check all the scenarios. Let's be the most conservative possible. I'm all for being conservative. Nobody wants to lose their ass on a real estate investment. But if you put a competitive offer in, the only way you lose is if you miss something big, an inspector missed something big, your realtor missed something big, the bank missed something big. Like, there's so many people that are looking over your shoulder to make sure this deal gets done. So that's what I have. I'm going to conclude this. If you are looking for that realtor and you're in the Des Moines area, obviously reach out to myself or our team. Happy to help. Again, I'm Darson Grantham, real estate agent with Keller Williams. Run my own team, have a couple admins, have a videographer, which I showed you earlier in the video. I love this stuff. I love talking about buying and selling real estate. So get out there and go do something. See ya. Peace.